Hi everyone, today is a special day as we are introducing the final chapter in our Swell series, Brass Swells. And trust me when I say it's a grand finale. Like String and Wind Swells, it presents a collection of stunning playable performances, carefully designed to bring emotion and movement to your music. All of our Swell libraries were meticulously recorded at the British Grove Studios, a truly world-class recording studio, and they were captured by legendary film score engineer Nick Wollage. If you know about string or wind swells, you'll grasp the idea easily. However, brass swells is all about the brass. This library offers playable tempo-sync brass swells that start from a low dynamic, build up to a soaring crescendo, and then gracefully return to the original state. We recorded 5 core articulations, which are normale, loud, pulse, mute, and air, and we can explore them in a 2-bar phrase. The first one is normale, which has a beautiful warm sound and I think is very versatile. Next we have loud, which as the name suggests is designed to draw focus to the brass section and make it stand out. After that, there's pulse, which inherently carries more movement. Here, the players individually repeated the notes at random, which creates this swarming sense of motion, which results in this truly unique and captivating sound. Then we have mute, and for this one the players used a mute, which alters the tonal quality, resulting in a slightly thinner, more pointed sound. And lastly, air. This is a more experimental articulation, where the players blew inside their instrument without a defined pitch, and I think it works great as a standalone effect, or maybe in combination with other articulations to add more air to the sound. Of course, with each of these articulations, there's the option to change the length of the swell by simply dragging the time slider in the center of the interface. So let's take a listen to each of the 5 lengths using the loud articulation. Starting with half a bar, I think it's great for stingers and clusters. Really effective like this. Then we can drag the slider to 1 bar. And here it's great for when you want to have some more action in your chords and you can change them quite quickly and still have a defined harmony. Then after that we have the 2 bars, which is I guess the most versatile of them. Then we have 3 bars, and this one is great for longer phrases. And finally, 4 bars is one of my favorite, as you have more time to actually make a small melody, and there's this well of emotion and motion which really resonates with me. These were the main articulations, which I think sound great and can work individually on so many levels. But it's just the start, as from them we then created pairs, which are unique combinations of the single patches. So let's take a listen to a few of them. And now loud and mute together, which I think is a fantastic combo. And I really like that you get the aggressive sound, the loud, plus the slightly more mysterious side with the mute. The pair patches open up really interesting opportunities to layer articulations which may not be possible with a live brass section. And as for many of our libraries, we included the design patches, which is where the library enters a really fascinating territory with a more experimental sound design feel. There's something really special about this brass and this sound and these effects all playing together. The next one is called Nocturne, and you can see already like this one has ambient only, whole, so different river from usual, and mute, pulse, and normale playing all together. Let's listen to how it sounds. I could play this all day. There are over 25 presets included. I will continue exploring the design patches later, as there's a lot more I want to show you. Now, since these are live recordings, they sound incredibly realistic, and I think they're generally beautiful. Usually with normal libraries, if you want to create as well, you either have to move the mod wheel or a slider or edit them afterwards, but they never really sound super realistic or convincing. You may have noticed that I haven't touched anything with its library, and that's because there's no need for any MIDI editing afterwards or during the performances, because the performances are already there, and we can just sit back, play whatever we want, and enjoy that, which is a pretty magical feeling. This is our interface, which will be familiar to string and wind swells users. There are 5 slots that allow you to play articulations individually or combine them to craft your own unique sound. To activate or deactivate an articulation, you can either click the toggle in the top left corner or trigger the key switch on your keyboard, and the corresponding note is displayed in the top center of the slot. Switching between articulations using key switches is quick and convenient. I'll show you now. Let's start with poles and a chord progression. Now I played it, I'm not sure pulse is the right sound I want for it. So I'm going to quickly try something else. And we can see A2 here. So I'm going to click it and instantly I'm going to switch to mute. And I gotta say, I much prefer this one. It gives me Danny Elfman Batman vibes. So maybe I'm gonna go for loud and click G2 and let's listen to it. I think we found the right sound I wanted. It's so convenient and easy to use. There are two features which make this library incredibly versatile, which are the option to have legato or not, and to play with Retounge or not. I'll explain more in detail the difference. So let's first start with the legato. I love it, and I think you love it too. As I said, we've included both non-legato and legato patches, and if you're playing with legato, it means that you can change any of the notes in your chord at any point during the swell, and they will continue the crescendo or decrescendo in time with the rest of the active notes. If you're playing a non-legato patch, then if you change any of the notes in your chord at any point, it will restart that particular note swells again and will not keep in time with the rest of the active notes. And this can be used to create an interesting effect with a more experimental, free-sounding performance. And we can hear this effect with mute, for example. I love the textural feelings that come with it. All the patches in the singles and pairs folder come with non-legato and legato options, while if you want to activate the legato in the design patches, you need to navigate to the snapshot menu and just click on legato. If you're using the legato patch and sequencing it in your DAW like this, leave a small gap between MIDI chords for the next chord to play. This feature gives you so much more freedom and realism while you play, and it really expands what's possible with this library. The second new feature is the option to remove the retongue during the swell. During the performance, the musicians retongue the note midway through the swells, which sounds like this. But by clicking the no tongue option in the top right corner, you can remove the retongue and get an uninterrupted sound. It sounds really smooth and it's truly useful. As composers, we all have different tastes and ideas, so having these two features is amazing as it gives us, the option to decide whatever we want to aim to express with our music. To adjust the panning, use the fader at the bottom of each slot. To control the volume, use the fader on the right side of the slot. To access the articulation menu, click the icon with three lines at the top of any slot. For instance, if you select poles, click the icon and now you'll get two poles slots. One of the main features of our swell libraries is the ability to adjust the swell duration, and as I showed before, you can use the global time fader in the center of the interface to choose from 5 different bar lengths: half, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Starting with half a bar, loud and pulse retongue. really nice and punchy. It's great for when you want that nice quick impact. With 3 bars, you can already add a bit more melodic material to your chords thanks to the legato. Now I play an arrangement from the main theme of the video game Metal Gear Solid. Also, it's very important the swells are tempo sync to match your project's tempo. And for the last one, we have loud and air 4 bars. Let me know in the comments if you recognize the chords from this iconic soundtrack. Moving down, there are 2 panels related to the mixing of the actual sound, which contain handy settings. So on the left, the proximity slider controls the microphone mix, and it lets you adjust how close or far the sound is. And we have by default the auto projon, which you can find here in the mix tab. And what it does, basically, it unloads from the RAM the microphone positions which are not used. So it makes the patches a lot smaller. It's a really neat feature. But if it's on, it means that when you move the proximity slider, you have to wait a moment for the mics to load before playing. While if it's off, then there's no problem. I'm gonna bring it up to 100%. So this is like 100% close, basically. And it's a very upfront, dry sound. Then I can bring it down to 50%. And you can already feel the distance from before. And finally 0%, which is the farthest you can get. Very versatile range of microphone positions and sound possibilities you have available. Next, the expression slider controls the overall patch volume. While blur and gloss allow you to apply a low pass and high pass filtering. I have a new exciting feature to show you, the sub slider, which adds an extra layer of power to the sound, and it can either be dirty or clean, and you can really feel the difference in the sound when you turn it up. And you can use it to add more body to the sound if you need it. The sub now is 0 and it sounds like this. I'm gonna bring it up to 100% clean. And you can tell the sound as more body. I'm gonna switch it on to dirty. And for me, this one is an incredible feature. If I want more resonance in the low register, this is like does the trick immediately, adds a lot more power and body to the actual sound, and it gives it a really modern edge. Now moving to the mix tab, you can further refine the instrument sound by adjusting the individual microphone positions. And we have close, mid, far, and ambient. So let's listen to each one of them individually. The first one is the close mic. And you get a really nice, dry, upfront sound. Then after we have mid, and you can see I soloed it here. And with it, you start to feel a bit more the room the brass were recorded in. Then after that, we can try far. And this one can be considered like a tree mic. You feel really well here, the space, and I've been there. It's a fantastic, fantastic studio. Not too reverberant, so you still have this nice detail of the instruments. And finally, we have ambient. It's up to you to find your preferred mix, but I think the one the library comes with, it's a really, really good starting point. Adjusting the proximity slider in the mix page allows you to see all the different mic positions changing in real time, and I always find it quite satisfying to see. And of course, you can move them individually, solo them, or mute them. You can really find your preferred mix. Then the stereo knob widens or narrows the stereo image so it becomes either mono, or it just expands the stereo image, as I said. And then finally, we have a mixed perspective created by our engineer, Nick, which you can use in combination with the other mic positions or by itself. Moving down to the right panel, we have access to FX, EQ, and envelope. And in the FX page, you can change the reverb, apply degrade or delay. And for example, you might want to change the reverb. So we just need to click here, medium CJ, and we can choose whatever we like. I'm gonna go for Cathedral A for this example. I personally think the brass sound amazing with a bit more reverb, as I think dry brass kind of bring us back to perhaps a more jazzy sound, while for this one, if you want some epic brass, changing the reverb to Cathedral A, it's a really good way to achieve that sound. Then you can tweak the sound in the EQ page if you like, or adjust the envelope settings. And I find it useful, especially for the release of the sound. If I want the sound to finish slightly later, I usually bring it up to 1000 or 1200 at least. So what I just showed you were the main things to get you started, but there's a lot more to discover, like the mapping page. This is a really easy to use, wonderful tool, and it essentially lets you orchestrate your brass section. So for example, you can have your low brass playing normale, your high brass playing mutes, or any other combination that you can imagine. And you can see all your articulations here, and you can activate them or deactivate them just by clicking on them. And the arrows at the edge of the keyboard allow you to decide on the range of each articulation. For example, I just activated pause and I want to hear it only in the higher register. Let's say normally plays in the lower one. Fantastic. Then we can try adding loud in the middle. And for this one, I'm going to use a sustain pedal so I can play a bit more notes. Wow. I just love the idea that I can orchestrate it myself, and each range has a different textures. I think it's fantastic. And you can further adjust this with the fade control, which creates volume fades between mapping zones, while the octave transposes up and down an octave what you're playing. So let's try with loud. Actually, let's try all of them. And now we can bring it down one octave. And this essentially allows you to build your own custom ensemble and precisely decide who's playing what articulation, which for me is an amazing feature to have. Moving on to the gated page, it adds a gated to the sound, and we've included numerous presets with various rhythmic patterns to choose from, and you can tweak so many things. I'll show you now. This is the sound out of the box. Then I click here, and perhaps it's a touch fast, so I'm gonna click on 1/8. You know, it really depends so much on what piece I'm composing. But not only that, check this out. With this changes the width and the strength, alter completely the sound. And we have the swing, of course, mode random as well. If you're, feeling lucky, and we can change direction and see, we have some lucky accidents sometimes. And if, we want to go back to the start, we can just click on reset and back we are. And here underneath, you can see all the different presets we created for you. So for example, 1/8T means like triplet. We can try something a bit faster. And of course, it follows the flows of the swells. So after the length of the swell, it ends. So you need to either repress it or change chords. When you explore the library folder, you'll find different subfolders, which you'll be familiar with now, as I mentioned them before: singles, pairs, design, high quality mode, and multi. Singles contain single articulation premapped, so if you just want to use air or loud or the legato patches, for example, you can load it up and the others won't be on. Pairs, as I mentioned, are combinations that we thought were interesting, like loud and air or mute and pulse. The first one we're going to listen to is Loud and Air, 2 bars, no tongue. And you can see that I added the sub with dirty to get that extra oomph in the sound. And you can really feel the extra power in the sound, and I'm all for it. After that, we can try pulse and mute together. Just below, you'll find the design patches, which combine articulations and include preloaded effects all made within the library, and they offer a distinct sound and can easily spark new ideas. The first one we're going to listen to is called Everlasting. really love the sound, the reverb, the delay. You can check out here all the effects, and with this one you can really take your time and decide when you want the next chord to come in, and it just feels natural. Then after we have Hideaway, and this one comes with a gator preloaded. The next one is called Instinctual, and is certainly one of my favorite. You'll understand why now. Great sound, is really bright and interesting from a sonic perspective. After that, we can check out Lonesome. Another really inspiring sound, and it's like that with the design patches. Each of them has something unique and special about them that can fit particular scenes that you're working on. Then we have a folder called High Quality Mode, and all the patches have an HQ next to them. And as the name suggests, they are high quality, meaning that the audio is ever so slightly better, but we put them in a different folder as they need a powerful machine to run on, as they are quite resource hungry. But they are there if you want the best of the best sound. So you can see that it's high quality from the text here. And for it, I think I'm gonna play some Williams chords. You know, it's just two major chords a tone apart, and yeah, it just immediately brings you to a certain sound by John Williams. The multi-folder combines multiple articulations. And to finish, there are two snapshots, Huge Space and Gator, available for all single articulations and pairs. I've always been a fan of Huge Space, and in fact, I usually end up using it on so many patches. And especially with brass, I think you want a nice reverb on top of them, and I think this one does the trick really nicely. And after we have the gator. And finally, I'd like to show you what a stunning combo is when all these Swells libraries come together. What a remarkable sound. I really love it, and I love how effortless you can create good sounding music. I can just copy and paste the MIDI and then know they play together, which is a huge time saver. This was Brass Swells. We put so much heart and love in making it, and we are really proud of it. I think it's an incredibly beautiful sounding library that feels like a culmination of what we started with string swells. And not only that, they all work together extremely well, so you can get a full orchestral sound with just these 3 libraries. For more information and demo tracks, visit our website and I'll leave a link in the description. And of course, let me know in the comments your thoughts and if you have any questions. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I'll see you in the next one.